Good morning. My name is Lama Jigme Gyatso. This is the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to the first webinar in this Saturday series. Hello, Olaf.
Hello.
Say hi to everyone on Facebook.
Hello.
All right. So what I think will be fun to do is if we start with 5 quick equipment-free exercises to really energize ourselves. I'm going to spin the camera around. And here I am. Hello. All right. Let's begin by doing upward-facing planks, which you can't see from that angle. So I'll just put you over here. Let's see. All right, let's start with some upward-facing planks. 3 thrusts. Now let's do some reverse lunges. Switch sides. Okay. Now let's make our way down to downward facing hollow plank. Hips thrust forward, under, shoulder blades open, chin tucked. Let's do 3 presses. And now 3 tenths, also known as down dogs. Let's conclude with 3 body weight rows. Since today is an even day, let's tuck our right ankle underneath our left knee. And on the in-breath, let's pull. Excellent. Now we are fully awake and alert and ready for our meditation class. Yes, you too can become a buff Buddha. Okay, Olaf, at this moment, what is your most pressing need?
I have a little depression, I should say.
Okay. Is your depression manifesting as sadness or lack of motivation? How would you describe the primary symptom you're experiencing?
I don't really know what it's like you say. Nothing is changing, all the same.
Okay, please elaborate.
I feel like everything is determined.
Okay, so you feel like everything is faded, right?
Yes.
Okay. That can be a scary feeling. That can be a heavy, scary feeling. And let's address that today. So please do me a favor, Olaf, and please mute your microphone. I'm going to go into the share screen mode. So welcome to my beautiful desktop. Magnificent, is it not? Okay. This is the practice text for the first lesson. It'll be useful for doing your twice-a-day homework hopefully every morning and every evening. And if you want to download a free copy, simply go to there we go. Simply go to the Buddha Joy Meditation School website, and that is at buddhajoy.org. When you get there, go to the second tab, and the first drop down will take you to the class downloads, and under the heading of Red Tata Cycle, you'll be able to download this free PDF, and there it is right here. First lesson, you can't miss it. So let's hit the ground running. This is the first lesson in the cycle of the Red Tata series. We are going to perform the first 12 lessons from the perspective of the Dzogchen in Tibetan, also known in English as the Great Completion Perspective. In other words, our emphasis is not on visualization, it's not on ritual, it's not on offering, it's not on superstition, it's not on dogma. It's on just three things: mindfulness, insight, and love. This week, we will only use one page of opening recitation. It is the essentialization of all four categories of Buddhist vows. This was inspired by the writings of the late Jigme Rinpoche, who was a member of the Kagyu lineage and the Nyingma lineage. And he taught that all the vows could be essentialized to 4 points. He presented it from a fundamentalist perspective. I'm sharing it with you right now from a liberal perspective, not external, but internal, not exoteric, but esoteric, not rigid, but flowing, adaptable, relaxed, and gentle. So the essence of the pratimoksha, or vows of renunciation, is simply non-violence. The essence of the refuge vows, or the vows of our foundation, fundamentally, or a fundamentalist would say they are taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, or in other words, the example of Buddha, the instructions of Dharma, and the assistance of the members of the Sangha. However, as a liberal, I'm telling you what we need to take refuge in is the practice of mindfulness, the practice of insight, the practice of love. That's right, folks. Love's not a noun. It's a verb. It's not what you feel. It is what you intend. The essence of the Tantra Samaya is devotion. A fundamentalist would say you have to you have to have faith that your teacher is an infallible Buddha, but a liberal would say the highest honor you can pay your teacher is to enthusiastically apply his or her advice. And of course, that advice is all about mindfulness, insight, and love. The final coalescence is of the Bodhisattva, or the love vows. So why do we practice mindfulness, insight, and love? Why do we apply teachers' advice? For the benefit of all. All genders, all races, all species, all beings of all worlds, whether they walk or crawl or swim or fly, whether they're smart or stupid, kind or cruel, pretty or ugly, whether they agree with us or disagree with us, friends, enemies, strangers. Our intention is to benefit all. We don't have to know how. We just have to nurture the intention to benefit all beings. And so it can be very positive to begin our meditation session with the verbalization of these 4 very powerful intentions. We're going to use what I call the bookend chant. That's when we emphasize the first syllable and the second to last syllable of each line. But before I do, it would appear that we have a tardy participant. So let's see here, promote to panelist. And here comes Patricia. Oh, good morning, Patricia. Please unmute your microphone.
I've been on for 15 minutes, and for some reason, I can see and hear you, but I couldn't interact.
No problem, Pat. How are you this morning?
Well, I was fine up until 15 minutes ago, and now I'm anxious and frustrated.
All right. So we're going to bring your anxiety and frustration into the path this morning. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I thought you didn't love me, threw me out.
Yes, that's it. In sackcloth and ash.
Yes.
Because that's how I roll.
No, it's just how my brain.
Patricia, and mute your microphone.
Okay.
All righty. So we're going to perform the bookend chant, wherein we emphasize the first syllable and second to last syllable of each couplet. This might sound weird, but in the weeks to follow, you'll become more and more comfortable with this. All right. Non-violently, I practice mindfulness inside as well as love, and apply teachers' advice for the benefit of all. Okay, and now, in the words of Olivia Dukakis, now it's time for the Easter Bunny. Nope, no Easter Bunny. I just like saying that. Okay, my friends, we're going to practice mantra meditation today, and it's my intention to teach you silent meditation during the, to begin teaching you silent meditation on the 7th lesson. There's nothing spooky about it at all. You can become a Buddha using silent meditation. You can become a Buddha using mantra meditation. We start with mantra meditation. Why? Because for most of us, our coarser energies are more real to us than our subtle energies. There's a very great Tibetan saint in the 1800s named Patrul Rinpoche. As a young man, he wrote a very fundamentalist meditation manual. As an old man, he wrote a very liberal one. In the liberal one, he taught that full enlightenment can be accomplished purely through mantra meditation. The mantra we're going to work with is the 6-syllable mantra of Red Tata. And we will begin with the first syllable. And in this mantra, as with most mantras, the first syllable is the syllable Om. Om rhymes with the word home. So here is the secret to the system that I teach, the cunning use of rhetorical questions. A typical question begs an answer. A rhetorical question does not. On the in-breath, we simply silently and mentally recite the in-breath recite the rhetorical question, and on the out breath, as we intone the syllable om, we relax to the best of our ability. At the very top of the page, we read the phrase, Tokal's contrived leap over. That's a very fancy way of saying contrived mantra contemplations. Contrived sounds ugly. Why do we do that? Well, in every meditation session, whether it's verbal or mantra or whether it's silence, we, just like the pendulum of a grandfather clock swings back and forth, we swing from contrived contemplation to spontaneous meditation. Many people who practice only spontaneous meditation experience great frustration with the antsiness of their mind. They call it their monkey mind, and they seek various ways to tame it. Tibetans taught for many centuries the best way to tame it is to first harness that playful energy with contemplations, and when the mind is then ready for rest, then we slide over into spontaneous meditation. So, to the left we see the numeral 12. And that's telling you which of the elemental permutations we're going to be accessing. We're going to access the permutation of mutable water simply by touching the tip of our left middle finger to its thumb. What do we do with the right hand? Form a flipper. Now, you'll notice that we're dealing with our left hand. And whenever we deal exclusively with our left hand, the elemental permutation is mutable. That's your takeaway for today. Every time it's left, it's mutable. This particular permutation is correlated with our feet, and as such, with the set of archetypes we could describe as surrendered sagehood. This would be more like quiet dignity versus screaming and railing at the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. And the cool thing is we get to tap into that energy just by touching the tip of our left middle finger to its thumb. That in and of itself is worth attendance today. We're going to stick with this hand gesture for the remainder of our contrived mantra contemplation today. How could both my and a teacher's minds be non-graspable? That's right, there may be many differences between you and your teacher, but you have at least one thing in common, and that is non-graspability. Come, let us recite this rhetorical question on the in-breath. And now it's time for the second exercise. We're now going to exercise our mindfulness. On the in-breath, we silently and mentally recite, notice mind. And you might ask yourself, how do I notice my mind? And the answer is you don't have to figure it out. If you just recite those two words on the in-breath and relax to the best of your ability during the out-breath, your subconscious will take care of the rest. Here's a quick fun fact. Intention follows thoughts. If I say to you, Olaf, do not think of the color red. Do not think of the color of an apple. Do not think of the color of a cherry. Do not think of the bulbous nose upon an absurd clown's face. You've most assuredly thought of the color red without trying to, just through the cunning use of language. Likewise, by playing with words silently and mentally in harmony with our breath, we can progress upon the path of mindfulness. Let's now, this time on the out breath, we're going to relaxingly intone the syllable ta. It's a soft A, it's not ta, it's ta, as in a hot toddy. As in, when you go to see the ballet perform Nutcracker Suite, you can buy a $20 hot toddy if you're eager to imbibe fat and a carcinogen, 2 carcinogens, and light your wallet. You're welcome to do that. That's right, folks. Butter's a carcinogen. Don't ask me. Trust Dr. Greger. Anyway, let's jump in. Let's play with this right now. What is it you could notice? You could notice your feelings. You could notice your thoughts. You could notice your perceptions. You might have noticed your calculations. You might have noticed your memories. You might have noticed your fantasies. You might have noticed your dreads. You might have noticed the feeling of futility, the feeling of heaviness. You might notice the feeling of instability, of anxiety, of rage. What do we do with it? We notice the fuck out of it. Oh, Pat, I can't believe you spoke that way to me. Okay, so let's turn the page. We're going to continue to notice mind. This time, we're going to work with the syllable ray, as in sun rays. Ray. Just relax the hell out of it. And now, we're going to work with the syllable tom. It's a soft A, like senior prom. Let's play with this right now. Ironically, the key to excelling upon Buddha's path is to relax as best you can during the out-breath of each contemplation and each meditation. Let's continue. We've done 4 breaths working with insight. And by the way, in the first exercise, we explored the possibility that both my mind and teacher's mind could both be non-graspable. How do we explore the non-graspability of our mind? By noticing it and then relaxing. The better you are at relaxing, the deeper your realization will be of non-graspability. This realization does not have to be cognitive. In fact, it's best if it is merely visceral. In other words, gut-oriented. Let's continue. We've done 4 breaths working with insight. We're now going to play with 3 breaths, focusing on what? Love. Anyone here ever see Princess Bride? Show of hands. Love, to love, cherish your love. Olaf, that's a very silly movie from the late 80s. Olaf is our scholar from Sweden, and anyone who can learn the Dharma in foreign language has earned my respect. Okay, so we are now on the in-breath reciting an intention. May the mind of each neighbor now fill with love and letting go. That's right, folks. When it comes to love and letting go, we want our neighbors to be full of Because, as I've mentioned previously, love is not what you feel, it's what you will, what you intend. It's not a question of emotion, but one of volition. So let's intend good things for our neighbors, human and non-human, whether they walk or crawl or swim or fly, whether they're doggies or aphids, humans or birds. On the out breath, we're going to intone the syllables sow, as in the phrase sowing seeds. So. And you'll notice that when you download your copy of this text, there's lots of commentary for you to play with. And of course, you can always rewatch this video just by going to the YouTube channel, whose link you can find on the buddhajoy.org website. Now we're going to use the exact same intention. We're just going to, instead of wishing good things for our neighbors, we're going to wish good things for all beings on this world. On the out breath, we're going to relax into the intoning of the syllable ha. You know, like that sound you make when you laugh. You'll notice a pattern in these contrived contemplations, and that is we tend to organize all beings, things, and phenomena under 4 headings: the mental, the verbal, the physical, and the circumstantial. We've just explored the mental. Now we're going to explore the wild world of communication. And remember, we are as well. I'm going to check my notation real quick, make sure everything's cool over here. And it is good. We're going to continue touching the tip of our left middle finger to its thumb. We now turn our attention to communication. How could my communication and all mantras be non-graspable? Clearly, there's a difference between the raw sewage that sometimes comes out of my mouth and the ancient mantra of yore. However, they have at least one thing in common. What's that? When you notice them and then relax, they can seem less graspable than they did before. I feel like I skipped a page, and we did. Okay, back over here to the third love, what's it called? Third love contemplation. This time, instead of just focusing on earthlings, we're going to focus on all beings and all worlds of the multiverse. We're really stretching our imagination, but more importantly, we're stretching our will, our intention. We go through life with our brainstem, our selfish little brainstem, firing on all 8 cylinders and really just looking out for numero uno. And this is a great opportunity to really focus on everyone's well-being without worrying about what's in it for me. So we've just explored all 6 syllables individually of the mantra. We're now going to begin linking them together like the cars on a train. Let's dig right in. Om. Now we're going to hook up 2 syllables with our first communication insight exercise. How could my communication on all mantras be non-graspable? Om Na. There's an American Tai Chi teacher who's famous for saying, relax harder. Again, we're going to strengthen our mindfulness by noticing communication on the in-breath. On the out-breath, we're going to relax as best we can while adding a 3rd syllable to the mantra. Om Da Re. Tibetans typically don't trill their R's, but the Indians do, and this mantra is written in Sanskrit, and as such, pronounce it like Indians do. Oh yeah, pass the curry. Now we're going to attach a 4th syllable to the same contemplation. Om Da Re Dam. What's the most important thing to do during the recitation? Relax, relax, relax. And now we come to the 4th wisdom exercise, or I should say the 4th wisdom breath of this set. Om Na Re Tam So. Really relax. Turn our attention again to love. In the communication of each neighbor, now be skillful. If you've ever talked to someone who was sad, and after you said something they started crying even harder, then perhaps your communication was not terribly skillful. Most people, unless they're arch villains, want to use their speech, want to use the communication for healing, for soothing, for nurturing, for inspiring. All of us long to be more skillful in our communication. So let's share this well wish with our neighbors. Om Na Re Dam So Ha. That's it. That's all 6 syllables of mantra. No more surprise syllables for the rest of this lesson. I'm so confident of that, I will stake Olaf's reputation on it. Now we turn our attentions to earthlings. Om Da Re Dam So Ha. And now we turn our attention to each being of each world. Om Na Re Nam So Ha. Before we move on, if there are any questions about this material, please open your mic and ask. If there are no questions, just shake your head no. All right. Let's continue. And of course, if you're watching at home via the internet and you've got questions, just jot them down in the comment area below the video. And if they're good questions, I'll do my best to get back to you via video through the YouTube channel sometime this week. So if you have a question and you wrote a comment, both click the subscribe button on the YouTube channel and ring the bell icon, which will make sure that you get email notifications each time I upload a video, i.e. the answer to the question you may have asked. We now turn our attention to the realm of the physical. On the in-breath, we ask the rhetorical question, how could my body and all Buddhas be non-graspable? Om Nare Nam Zoha. What is a mantra? Is it a prayer? Is it an invocation? Is it a supplication? I don't know. A fundamentalist would tell you, yes, it is a prayer. It is an invocation. That's liberal. I don't know. I can only tell you about my experience. I'm ridiculously sensitive. It's often a pain in the ass. But I found that every mantra has its own energy signature. In fact, everything has its own energy signature. Tests were done. I'm not sure how scientifically valid they were, but there were some really interesting tests done in the late 90s, early 2000s about intention and water and how the intention we had while coming in contact with water could influence the shape of the crystals that formed. So don't trust me. Ask any physicist. They'll tell you we live in an interdependent universe where everything is affected by everything, and also everything affects everything. Sometimes immediately, sometimes eventually, sometimes coarsely, sometimes subtly, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly, or circuitously. But things affect other things. I found that some mantras are so calming, they knock you out and make you worthless for anything. Some mantras are so energizing, they can make you cranky. Just like Goldilocks, I found that this mantra, for me, at this time, is just right. It's not so sedating, it'll put you to sleep. It's not so energizing, it'll make you lose your mind, start barking and chasing cars. I like this mantra. Let's play with it right now. Om Nare Nam Zoha. Fundamentalists have answers for everything. Liberals are comfortable saying, I don't know. There are certain ideas that appeal to me, certain ideas I've never thought of. I'm open to all possibilities and how they play out in the laboratory of causality. In other words, Buddha taught us in the Sutta of the Kalimasti Lama and in the Parinibbana Sutta not to trust something blindly because someone famous said it, or it's a popular teaching, or it's written in an old book. We're told that the way we know something works is to play with it and notice the results. And we work with a technique and it makes us so cranky that we earned the nickname Little Darth Vader. Then perhaps that technique is not serving us. So it's incumbent upon us to take action and notice our results. Blind faith be damned. On the in-breath, notice body. On the out-breath, relax into the mantra. And we're going to do this for 3 breaths. Om Nare Nam Zoha. zo Om Nare Nam Zo Now it's time for some more love. May the body of each neighbor now be healthy. Because really, who is dying from an excess of health? Who wakes up and says, damn it, I'm energetic and pain-free? Oh, hell. No one does. Not in their right mind. Om Nare Nam Zo If you work with us every morning and you work with us every evening, by the end of the week, you will have memorized this mantra without even trying to. And that is the best way. We turn our attention now to all earthlings, whether they walk or crawl or swim or fly. And just as we would not chase our neighbor with a running chainsaw and call that love, we might not want to decapitate bovine, swine, avian, or fish. Also, we might not want to pay others to do it for us. We might want to explore the compassion of going vegan and reducing the amount of suffering that we cause others to experience. Om Nare Nam Zo May the body of each being of each world now be happy as we expand our love from this world to all worlds of the entire multiverse. We can expand the ideas of veganism, not just to have compassion for the critters we formerly ate, but to have compassion for the earth itself, and even to have compassion on ourselves and our loved ones. For if we eat a whole food, plant-based diet devoid of salt, oil, and sugar, we'll be healthier, we will have less disease, we will live longer, and be less of a burden on those we say we love. Om Nare Nam Zo Let's continue. We've explored mind, we've explored communication, we've explored body, and now we're going to explore our circumstance. How can my circumstance and all pure lands be non-graspable? What is a pure land? Glad you asked. Every culture has myth. Nothing wrong with myth unless you take it as gospel truth and predicate your life upon it. In Buddhism, there is the myth of the Buddha's Pure Land or Buddha's paradise. Lives have been squandered trying to ensure an auspicious rebirth. What's a liberal or a rational approach to this myth? The idea of an ideal circumstance. When we juxtapose it to our circumstance, which is quite often far less than ideal, they can seem quite different. However, they might have at least one thing in common, and that one thing could be what, Pat?
That all things are non-graspable?
Yes, they share their same non-graspable nature. Okay, please mute your microphone and let's continue. Om Nare Nam Zo Now let's explore the non-graspability of our personal circumstance for the next 3 breaths. Om Nare Nam Zo Om Nare Nam Zo Om Nare Nam Zo For the next 3 breaths, let's contemplate love. We'll begin with our neighbors. May the circumstance of each neighbor now be ideal. What about ourselves? Why don't we pray for our own ideal circumstance? Because we're not here for greed, we're here for wisdom. But if you live in this neighborhood, then you're your own neighbor, so this will benefit you too. But the main thing is not to be a greedy bastard, but to seek to be, I don't know, great spiritual Santa Claus and give good things to other people. If not literally, if not physically, then intentionally. Om Nare Nam Zo Ha. There are so many benefits to developing the insight and the peace that comes from it, because it's very difficult to wage a war if you're just too damn mellow. Very few mellow people start wars. I've looked into it, haven't found any. Let's turn our attention now to our fellow Earthlings. Om Nare Nam Zo Ha. And now each being of each world. Om Nare Nam Zo Ha. Okay, we've done about 18 breaths. For the next 7 breaths, we're going to take a very figurative approach to symbolically exploring the folly of clinging. This is not literal, this is figurative, so any physicists in the audience, keep your pants on. For this is not a pants-free optional class, I hate to break it to you. What could I cling to if each world now melted into my world? Om Nare Nam Zo Ha. What could I cling to if my world now melted into my place? What? What is my place? Well, first of all, place is a metaphor for circumstance, but literally place is whatever you can perceive with your 5 senses. So you may believe that Washington, D.C. exists, but if you can't see it, then it's not in your place. Your place is typically what you can see from your living room or wherever you happen to be practicing at the moment. A few weeks ago, I was practicing on a train, so my place kept shifting. Let's play with this right now. Om Nare Nam Zo Ha. Let's again explore the myth of a Buddha. Any Buddha that's from the tantric perspective. We think of it like a Russian nesting doll. We think of each Buddha's mind as being symbolized by a syllable. We think of each Buddha's communication as being symbolized by the mantra that forms a ring around the mind syllable. We call that a mantra rosary. A Buddha's body is symbolized by his or her body of light that typically has the mind syllable and the mind mantra rosary at its heart area, not to the left of its chest, but in the center of his chest, behind the sternum, in front of the vertebrae, between the two, centered. That's the basic area. And we think of Buddha's circumstances being symbolized by a paradise or a pure land comprised of light. The paradise is comprised of non-graspable light. The Buddha's body is composed of non-graspable light. The Buddha's speech, the mantra rosary, is composed of non-graspable light. The Buddha's mind, symbolized by the one syllable, is composed of non-graspable light. Just like a Russian nesting doll. And that can serve our experience of collapsing the graspable universe down, 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 which is what happens every night when we fall asleep. If our mindfulness is really sharp, we'll notice that it feels like our perceptions are collapsing upon ourselves as we then fall into the thoughtless swoon that is the first phase of sleep. Let's continue. What could I cling to if my place now melted into my body? Yes, just like a Russian nesting doll. Om Nare Nam Zoha. What could I cling to if my body now melted into my communication? Look, there's the mantra rosary that I told you about. Isn't it a beaut, folks? Om Nare Nam Zoha. What could I cling to if my communication now melted into my mind? Om Nare Nam Zoha. If you have a loved one who is feeling some physical pain, and you lay the center of each of your palm upon the part of the body where the pain is localized, while doing your homework, it will most likely feel some relief. If you do this on your cat, when your cat's in a mellow mood, it will start kneading the air and purring like you were the second coming himself. What could I cling to if my mind now melted into a non-graspable, empty void? That seems scary. That might even be mysterious and spooky. Don't fall into the trap of mystifying Buddhist terminology. Emptiness and void are simply function as similes to explore non-graspability. How non-graspable is our mind? It is as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Look at this object, this water bottle. It's got rubber on it to make it really, really graspable. Okay, bottle, graspable. Empty space, not so much with the grasping. I've checked, you can't do it. What could I cling to if my mind now melted into a non-graspable empty void? Om Nare Nam Zoha. Don't be scared. This happens every night. Every night we fall asleep into the thoughtless swoon of slumber. Then our mind rouses into a dreamlike experience. And then we completely wake up, and we might roll over, or we may get out of bed, pad down the hall, and use the restroom. And we may get back to bed or start our day. But all night long, we go through these cycles of swoon, dream, wake, swoon, dream, wake, swoon, dream, wake. This process is already hardwired into our central nervous systems. All we're doing is using a pre-existing phenomena to expand a realization of Buddhist wisdom, which is simply a highfalutin way of saying the wisdom of letting go. Let's continue. What could I cling to if I now experienced infinite openness? And remember, this is only a metaphor. Om Nare Nam Zo Ha. This concludes the contrived contemplation. We now begin our spontaneous meditation practice. In Tibet, that's known, in some Tibetan sects, typically the Nyingma, that's known as Trek Cho. Other people will call it Mahamudra without an object. Either way, we're resting on the nature of the mind. So the first thing we'll notice is we're switching from number 12 to number 11. Well, what does that mean? Instead of just touch, it's still working with just our left hand, work with both our hands and touch each index finger to its thumb. The second takeaway for today's class is that when we use both our fingers in a gesture, we're dealing with a fixed permutation. Left is mutable, right is fixed. I wonder what we'll learn next week. This fixed air is related to the part of our body we typically call our calves, and the label that could be adhered to its group of associated archetypes could be that of a laid-back, intelligent philanthropist. So, if you have a mala, if you have a full mala, I recommend the Tibetan kind you can get on YouTube, which have 108 beads, plus 3 turquoise spacers and 1 jumbo bead for a total of 112. You can get this on Amazon.com. If you have trouble, there's so much to choose from on Amazon. If you want to narrow your selection, just go to the website and we'll show you which ones to get on Amazon. Be really whatever makes you happy. We're going to do a quarter mala right now, and we're going to count that. Our right index finger while our left index finger touches its thumb. We're going to do this for 28 breaths. On the in-breath, we're going to ask the rhetorical question, how? Relax into the awareness of this. This is the mystery pronoun. What? What does it apply to? Whatever we notice in the moment. We're not concentrating, we're passively noticing. Concentration can be likened to sitting on the edge of the stream, watching something floating by, jumping in the water, and chasing it. That's concentration, and it's wonderful if you're a golden retriever. If you're not a golden retriever, I recommend mindfulness, which is sitting on the bank of the river, something goes by, you notice it, oh look, it's something. And then something else comes by, oh look, it's something else. You're not chasing it, you're not hating it, you're not craving it, you're just watching it. How do you keep from craving it? How do you keep from hating it if it's painful or craving it if it's pleasurable? How? By relaxing into the mantra recitation of the out-breath. Mindfulness on the in-breath, relaxing into insight on the out-breath. Welcome to spontaneous mantra meditation. What's so spontaneous about it? The object of our mindfulness is spontaneous. It may be physical, It may be circumstantial, it may be verbal, it may be intellectual, it may be perceptual, it may be imagined, it may be recalled. It could be pleasurable, it could be painful, it could be glorious, it could be grotesque. To all of my friends out there who may have PTSD in one form or another, if you feel a flashback coming up during this practice, just tap both sides of your collarbone, not at the same time, one side then the other. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. That will go a long way to helping your hippocampus to begin to let go of it. You won't lose the memory, but it will be, in time, it will become less traumatic. Let's continue. Om Nare Nam Zoa. Om Nare Nam Zoa. Om Nare Nam Zoa. If you do feel comfortable with the mantra, you can rest your eyes for a few moments while you do this. If you don't, that's okay. You'll feel comfortable by this time next week. Om Nare Nam Zoha. 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 Eyes open, notice your environment. Om Nare Nam Zoha. 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 Something comes up and you hate it, you don't like it, you want to push it away, then we can silently and mentally recite as how relax into the awareness of this hate. If something comes up and you really, really crave it, then you can always silently and mentally recite how relax into the awareness of this greed. Something comes up and it really tickles your pride and your self-importance, you can work with how relax into the awareness of this pride. Something absolutely terrifies you, you can work with how relax into the awareness of this fear. But if we're not dealing with terror or hubris or hatred or greed, and it's all subtle, then just work with it the way it's written. How relax into the awareness of this. Om Nare Nam Zoa. 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 You can coil up your mala if you have one. And if you want to, you can blow on it. Not like you're blowing a candle, but more like you're cleaning your glasses. If you're sensitive, you may feel something new in your mala you didn't feel it before. If not, then don't worry about it. You don't have to do it. Just as we began our class with a very positive intention, we're going to close it the same way. Again, we're going to use the bookend chant. May all who think of it, let's see. May all who think of Hitacho see me practice mindfulness, insight, and love. Spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. Our path is simple. It's one of mindfulness, insight, and love. What then is enlightenment? In this tradition, enlightenment is nothing more than the mastery or the accomplishment of Buddha's path. What does it mean to have accomplished Buddha's teachings of mindfulness, insight, and love? To be able to practice them spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. That's the mastery we're looking for. That's the mastery we wish for all beings of all worlds. Do this every morning. Do this every evening. For the next 6.5 consecutive days, and you'll be ready for next week's class. You may say 6.5, how does that work? Simple. For Olaf, the day's done. Because Olaf, it's like, what, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night right now? Okay. So for Olaf, we'll be practicing twice on Sunday, twice on Monday, twice on Tuesday, twice on Wednesday, twice on Thursday, twice on Friday, on Saturday morning. And then Saturday evening, it's time for class again. See how that works? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, so what I'm going to do right quick is stop the share screen. And I'm going to, there we go. I'm going to subjugate you to my face. Now, if you have any questions about the practice, ask now. Oh, by the way, one of the beautiful things about being able to participate in this webinar live is you get your questions answered in real time. Okay, Olaf, Pat, any questions about today's practice?
No question for me.
Okay. Any questions about meditation in general? Patricia Louise Snodgrass, what is your question?
I'm going to undergo dental surgery on Wednesday.
Okay.
And so how am I going to, the question has come to me as to how am I going to practice with my mouth full of, do you have any suggestions or advice for me?
Are you talking about homework after class, or you're talking about practice during surgery?
Practice after surgery, for the days after the surgery is completed.
Okay. Well, you have to play it as it lays. If you can do it verbally, then do it verbally. If you can't, then do it mentally.
Okay.
Problem solved.
Okay.
All
I
right.
have a second question.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
see your Facebook lessons on live when I'm on Facebook on the days that I don't practice with you. Can I go ahead and share those?
Can you do what those?
When your other classes are on live on Facebook and I happen to see them, can I go ahead and share those?
Of course. Of course. You're always welcome to share my content.
Okay.
Because if I'm trying to keep a secret, I'm going about it the entirely wrong way. Okay, well, may you and yours be healthy and happy. Once again, if you have questions, write them out in lurid detail in the commentary below. Goodbye now.
Yes, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.